All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 296 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian, admin on the KissFAQ message board, and I often get confused about which show I'm on. Sometimes I'm on the Lipstick panel, sometimes I'm on Podcast, sometimes we're on Look It's Rock and Roll, and sometimes I'm messing around with old episodes of The Electric Ballroom, which did just throw up our first and only episode from that show on the Look It's Rock and Roll podcast feed. That today, for people who did not see it, it was a episode with David Donnelly and Mark about our top 10 favorite UK singles or songs or something to that effect. It was really fun to do.
Singles.
So. Today I'm joined by Ken, 69th Blizzard, and of course the mighty Mark.
Hello.
So good to see you guys, and maybe Lonnie will join us if he gets a chance. Hope so. I think first things first, most important thing today is Nashville. I'd like to give a big shout out to all our friends in Nashville, those who maybe were directly or indirectly affected by this week's tornado, which ripped through the city again. You're in our thoughts. Nashville's a great town, really fun. Mark and I both been there for the Rockin' Pod. And again, awful lot of people. I'm not going to name check you, because there are too many of you, and then I'd forget someone, and then I'd feel really bad. But, we're thinking of all of you while that area rebuilds, and hopefully you'll be able to keep it from getting gentrified during the process and keep its character, and that everything that was there beforehand comes back bigger, better, stronger than before. So, speaking of Nashville, and obviously the Rockin' Pod, which I mentioned, this year's Nashville Rockin' Pod has started announcing guests. They're going to be at the Nashville, I think it's the Hilton Nashville Airport, August the 14th through 16th. This will be the fourth year of the event. This year, I won't be there. So just can't swing it with the cruise and, some travel to England. It kicks off with a concert with Stars. Nice Kiss-related. Toby Wright's coming back. Gary Corbett, I believe, is coming back. And guys from Tesla. So there are going to be plenty of Kiss connections for that event. So I won't be there, but I remain an avid supporter of the concept and the project. So well done to Chris and all of those involved in organizing it. Other news, our friends at Kiss My Collectibles actually have a new episode out. And it's it's pretty cool. This episode is their adventure of bringing the 5th anniversary of Space Invader to the deluxe packaged edition. So tune in, check it out, see what they went through. Yeah, and give them a round of applause for getting it. And talk about records. Record Store Day. One of the releases has been announced. That's going to be coming out for this year's Record Store Day. And it is, of course, Ace Frehley's Trouble Walking album is going to be pressed as double LP, so 45 RPM. It's going to be in colored vinyl. I think it looked like
it's a swirl kind of thing.
Yeah,
yellow
like a Cadbury egg,
Yeah.
Orange and yellow colored vinyl, limited to 2,400 copies, and it, of course, is coming through E1, so that means that it will be a very good package, high quality. Feels like a lot of news to get through this week. And last night, Kiss played Los Angeles on the End of the Road tour, and it wasn't your normal show. In the encores, I don't know if either of you have checked out the videos yet. Paul Stanley donned an LA Lakers number 24 jersey to honor Kobe Bryant, and they also honored all of the victims of the helicopter crash. I thought that was particularly classy, not just focus on the one. They made sure to put the names of all the victims up. They changed the balloons around to purple and yellow. The the pods had the numbers, the 2, the 24, and all the special numbers that were associated with Gigi and Kobe. So I thought it was very classy how they did that. It just reminds you that Kiss does remember. Kiss does do things right. and especially Los Angeles is their hometown. It was very nice to see just positive responses to something that Kiss does, because far too often Kiss does something and people, feel the need to snipe. Haven't seen any of that today. So, Mark, what you got?
Yeah, so I've been posting on my Project Gemini site all my latest happenings. It's been a busy couple of weeks with this going on, and with the start of another band that I'm doing, which will be, talked about more very soon for you guys to check out. But I've been keeping busy with a lot of stuff, so I wanted to show you guys what I've been doing, just so you guys have a better idea. So I got my album covers in for the new record, and so it looks very, very nice. I'm very pleased with it. The back cover is different from the CD, as you can see. I got it totally redesigned.
Nice.
Right, compared to the CD version. Yeah, as you can see, it's very different.
Yeah.
And also, with this comes the first 50 of them get this poster, which is like a propaganda poster almost, like for the people that were part of this in the story, like for people who were part of the Escape from Earth. You almost see it's like, come and escape with us. It's going to be fantastic kind of poster. You know what I mean? That comes with it. And then last but not least, I signed that as well. And I also have something that a lot of the supporters have been very happy about, and I thought was a cool addition, is I have download cards made, but not your average-looking download cards. They're like flight tickets.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Right.
I love that. I didn't
Nice
comment
touch.
when you
That's a nice
posted
touch.
that on Facebook. I was like, "Holy crap!" Talking about taking things to the next level. So, congrats on the design.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah. And Jason Paulin, who's in my group, he's the one who helped design it. In fact, it's mainly his design. But the number sequence at the bottom in the green there, there we go. When you get it, for people who are like really into this kind of like minutia, those numbers mean something. I know it's hard to see it now, but you'll see it. And there's a Kiss connection actually to the numbers in there.
Uh-oh.
So that's interesting because Jason's a huge Kiss collector. So he said, I hope you don't mind. I put a kind of a Kiss collectors kind of thing in there for those guys. Like, hey, I don't care. I'm a Kiss collector too. So that's what I've been doing right now, and keeping busy with that and some of the other things that you'll hear about very soon. So thanks, Julian, for letting me take this moment to show everybody. And just a reminder, the pre-order is still going on. I just go to the Facebook group, the Project Gemini Facebook group, and all the ordering information is at the very top. I pinned it to the top, so whenever people want to know more about it, you can go there and find all the information you need to order the album. Yellow vinyl. It's going to look fantastic, and it's been doing very good actually with the pre-order, so I'm very happy.
Very cool.
Cool.
Ken, Kiss tomorrow. Kiss tomorrow. Kiss tomorrow.
Kiss tomorrow, and Kiss tomorrow will be Kiss tonight tomorrow. Anyway, yeah. Tomorrow and tonight, right?
Kiss.
Yeah. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. Oakland, up front. I'm looking forward because it could be my last show. Sacramento could have been my last show, but this might be it, unless like a Vegas stint or something else later on down the road. I don't know, but I'm treating it as my last Kiss concert.
That's what I did originally when, the date was supposed to be in September. I figured I'd get, front row for one show, splurge on it, and I haven't been front row since the farewell tour. And kind of funny. Kind of bookend my front row experiences at two Kiss farewell tours, but I don't care. I'm looking forward to it. Going to have some KissFAQ podcast buttons with me, so if you see me, I'll give you a button. I'll make sure Ken has some too, in case you don't want to see me. Hopefully you'll see Ken, and we'll give you some. Have a pocket full of podcast buttons. But I'm looking forward to the show. I mean, I've been following the tour less in depth. It's just kind of trundling along. Not a lot of changes and whatnot. Last night was an outlier with the Kobe stuff, so just looking forward to being there. I'm not going to buy anything. I'm not going to bring anything. I'm just going to sit there and hopefully sing my ass off.
Yeah.
I'm going to hopefully get 2 songs in the set that I haven't heard in the set for a while. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited. That's the key. I'm still excited to be going to a Kiss show tomorrow.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, today's topics are going to be, they're from the board. It seems to be a fertile ground of things to discuss.
Discuss?
Yeah.
Or discussed, as the case may be.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. One of the topics that jumped out at me was someone's suggestion that imagine if Double Platinum had been given the Kiss Killers treatment. And it included 4 new songs instead of the format that it followed, which it didn't include any new songs, just the new recording of Strutter.
Strutter 78.
Which songs from the collection would you cut, and what would you add into it? I think let's start with the cuts. There's probably a few easy ones that you could just get rid of as a cop-out. Mark, why don't we start with you on that? What are the songs?
I can only imagine what Mark is going to cut.
Yeah, I forgot about that part, so I'm going to have to quickly find the track listing.
I got my list of because I did my kind of homework about this. So the 4 songs that I removed from here are sort of logical, I would suspect, because number 1, I got rid of the Rock Bottom / She song, mainly because I never liked the way that kind of worked out. I mean, I thought Rock Bottom, first of all, just really, really quiet on that version of it that's on there. At first, when I first got it, I was like, wow, what the hell is it? Like, I had to turn up the volume. And then when it was done, all of a sudden, just, it just came blasting out of the speaker, like bad mastering job there. But I didn't like that, so I cut that one out. I also cut out, and you might be surprised about these 2, but I also cut out Making Love and Love Gun out of it, mainly because I thought that, considering when it was released, it was very close to when Love Gun came out. I mean, really, you already had a brand new record with these 2 songs on it. I mean, I kind of looked at Double Platinum as a chance for them to put older songs on there and to give them some sort of a remake, because a lot of them, they did different edits of them, different mixes of them, and those ones I really loved. Like, I loved some of the versions of, like, let's say Calling Dr. Love. The version on here is really cool. I like that version. I like the edit that they did with Black Diamond, even though it's just minor, how they changed it up, how they reintroduced the intro at the end of the song. I thought that was kind of cool. So I liked when they did those kind of things, right? And also, the last song that I cut out was Let Me Go Rock and Roll, because I just always thought that was just kind of a meh, just it's an okay song, but I think they could have put a better song on there in replacement of it from their catalog.
Interesting. Very interesting. Ken, how about you?
Okay. Well, one of the songs I removed is Do You Love Me?
You would have thought I did that.
I know, yeah. Which is... to me, it's a little bit overrated. I mean, I like it; it's a good song, but I just think, even in concert, I don't think they should be playing it in concert. They could be playing something else right now. So that one is off. I also removed Strutter 78 because I would have rather have had the original Strutter version than 78. So that's why I did that. And then, like Mark, but maybe I'm cheating here or something, but Rock Bottom, just the intro. I'm keeping She, but I'm getting rid of the intro completely, just off of there. It's like, why do we, why did that, first of all? That's ridiculous. And then the 4th one is, like Mark too, Love Gun. For the same reasoning, where it is so recent, to just save that and keep that as, Love Gun is still, a year before, but so it's still kind of new, and you kind of want them to, I don't know, it was even released as a single, right? That's at one point I thought, but I would just get rid of that one, and because I couldn't think of anything else that would make sense to really remove, or I wanted to remove.
Yeah, so early 1978, I figure Kiss and, the Marx Glickman gang and everyone are aware that Kiss is appealing to a younger and younger demographic. So out goes Making Love, out goes Love Gun. I think that, it bespeaks the future where you have to have a Walmart-friendly album because those young kids, their parents are going to be looking at the track listing and they're going to be much happier with a God of Thunder than they are with someone's Love Gun making love to she. So those are the two very easy ones in this context to remove. Strutter 78, I agree with Ken. I wouldn't remove it. I'd replace it with Strutter 73. November 73. I would then get rid of the rock bottom intro as well. That isn't a cop-out. It is just so out of place there. It's like, we've talked about it on the episodes that we've dedicated wholly to Double Platinum. And then I think I get rid of She, because it's just so dirgy, sludgy, and, and really, really boring. But I'm going to make one more change to mine, is I'm getting rid of Cold Gin for the same reason I got rid of the sex songs. That parents aren't going to approve of that. This is a very politically correct album. However, Paul's mad now, so he says, "You got rid of my Love Gun and Making Love. I want I Stole Your Love back on there." So those are that's how I rebalance and get rid of 4 songs and keep Paul Stanley happy.
Interesting.
It's all about Paul, and his happiness is important to me. So those are the songs that we'd cut. Out there, if you're keeping track or keeping score, don't. What would you add? Now, I didn't read through this thread because I didn't want to kind of pollute my mind as to how I was going to approach it. But what I figure is fair is demos from this era, stuff from the solo albums, no Captain and Neal. What are you going to put in, Mark? In order to have it fit the 4 new songs or whatnot?
Well, I looked at it this way, similar to how you had some sort of logical story behind it. What I decided to do was, okay, what would happen, the reaction by the band members when this got cut? So I think for sure Gene would have stepped in. Okay, well, Let Me Go Rock and Roll is going to get cut out. Then I have a great new song that can be put in instead of that. Why don't we put this radioactive song of mine on here instead? So I put that on there. And of course, Paul's not going to be happy with Making Love and Love Gun off of there. So you have to put on there Move On and It's All Right. Got put on there in replacement of it. And, the person who's going to get stiffed in this process, of course, is going to be Peter Criss, because, I'm sure he's going to say, well, can I put another song there? They're going to say, well, you already have Beth on here, so what are you complaining about? So they're going to put on something to, placate Ace, since, they were moving the rock bottom intro off of there. So they're going to put Speeding Back to My Baby on there, kind of a more rock and roll, straight ahead, easy one. And then I kind of thought that these are all songs that they could do as a band easily. I mean, they did do Move On. They have done Radioactive on the Cruise, right? And they also did it in Dynasty as well, right? And I can imagine It's All Right or Speeding Back to My Baby being that complicated for the original 4 to do. So those are my 4 selections for the replacement.
Very good. So just list those all out in one shot for us.
Okay, so Radioactive, It's All Right, Move On, and Speeding Back to My Baby.
Nice. Good choices. All right, Ken. How about you, and how did you kind of approach adding 4 songs into this mix?
Well, I approached it about the same as, removing any Love Gun stuff. So I was going to go ahead and put something, not demos. I didn't want demos added to it. I wanted something that, they actually did put out eventually. But my thinking is to not use the solo songs necessarily. Well, I guess they would have to, really. But the solo songs I would use would be like Mark said, one of them at least, Radioactive, because it is the most,
Catchy.
Catchy, and of course it was a single and the catchy, more Kiss-like song anyway. And then I would give them each a song, like Ace Frehley. But I would do, for him, I would go ahead and do New York Groove. The thing is, I don't know. That was suggested later on, so I don't know if that could really happen. So if that's true, then maybe I would just go ahead and do Rip It Out instead. And Paul Stanley, I would use It's All Right, because that is very, very Kiss-like, the most Kiss-like song on that whole album. And then Peter Criss, that's kind of a tough one.
Wow, you gave him an album. You gave him a song. Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a song. But I'm thinking this. I'm not even going to give him a song from his solo album. I'm going to let them do a cover song, and you're going to have him sing. And they talked about this song before, kind of doing this Jailhouse Rock. Let them sing Jailhouse Rock. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, he has the voice for it.
Yeah, so I think that'd be a cool shot to throw on there.
No, you stole my.
Oh, did I really?
You stole my song. Yeah, I was actually. I was thinking back to, in a perfect world in 1977 and 78. Number one, I would have been a Kiss fan and enjoying all this stuff as it happened real time. Number two, Kiss Alive 2 would not have had an album side full of new material. It would have had Take Me, it would have had Do You Love Me, and Hooligan, the three songs that were on it, plus two more that were cut from the set or performed from those albums that weren't included, and just maybe an updated version of Rock and Roll All Night. So it would have had, I was going to say five sides, 4 sides of pure live. And then Double Platinum, of course, would have had those songs on it that were on Alive too. So to me, in a perfect world, that's the easiest answer to the question, is Alive 2 is a real live album. Well, not a real live album, you know what I mean, when it comes to Kiss. All songs performed live post 1975, new songs, and then Double Platinum has the 4 songs from Alive 2, or 5 songs. But since that's not the case in this discussion, Ken is absolutely brilliant in suggesting Jailhouse Rock, which was discussed for Alive 2. It's on Gene's notes. Now, whether that discussion ever left Gene's head and made it to Paul Stanley's ears is a whole different kettle of fish. But I think, Kiss 1978 would certainly have been whorish enough to cash in on Elvis Presley with a great cover. And since they had made it a habit on Love Gun, they had a cover. On Alive 2, they had a cover. Then I think they would have continued. Yeah. So the other songs that I pick, well, one of them also comes from Gene's scribbled list of idea songs for Alive 2, and it's a song called Suspended Animation. I have no idea whether it was ever demoed or recorded, what it sounds like, or whether it was anything more than a scribbled title on a piece of paper. Doesn't matter, but because it was on there with his other songs, it makes it. As does Burning Up with Fever. Was a possibility for Alive 2, so that comes onto there. That's our 3, and then the 4th one is a song that was mentioned in Dale Sherman's Black Diamond book as having been sent out for mastering. Bloody hell. Had been sent out for mastering to England, where they remixed Double Platinum. And it was, of course, Queen for a Day.
Oh, yeah.
And I figure in a perfect world again, and I can't remember if I've heard this. Someone did play some stuff down the phone to me once. They would finish it. So it would be like the Strutter 78 on this album, the new Kiss song, but one that had a history going back further. So Queen for a Day, Jailhouse Rock, Burning Up with Fever, and Suspended Animation.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Some of which we have no idea about. But Burning Up with Fever was a Kiss song. They demoed it in 75 a couple of times, had not made it. It was one of the ones that they did in LA as they came off the Hotter Than Hell tour. So it was always kind of lingering around there. So I think Gene would have put on his very serious voice and said, "You know what? We already recorded it. Let's use it." All right. Well, that's that first part of it. Mark, did you have a topic for us to discuss today?
Yes, I did actually, because I am one of these guys, as you know, that follows the happenings of the record store day phenomenon, right? And when today on Facebook there was a posting from somebody saying they've leaked already the first list of people that have stuff coming out. I was like, okay, so let's see what's going to happen. So I went on there and I was surprised to see, Black Sabbath has something coming out. I was like, wow, they have and they're even putting Evil Woman, from something from their first record that was on only a little bit of the pressings, and then they took it off and replaced it with, I think, either Warning or Evil or Wicked World, I think it was they replaced it with. Anyways, so they're doing something. Frank Zappa has multiple albums coming out on Record Store Day. I was excited about that. Then I saw Ace Frehley. He's getting his record, and that's the one Ace Frehley record that I was like, yes, that's my favorite Ace album from the old stuff. And I'm like, that I'm getting for sure. I never got any of the other ones because I don't dislike them, but they don't, make me excited like this one does. Trouble Walking. I've loved this album, so I'm gonna get that for sure. And 2 record 45 RPM. I was like, count me in. So, looking through the list, I was like, again, and I wasn't surprised, but I was disappointed again. Kiss nothing on Record Store Day. What is going on here? I mean, come on, guys. I mean, even Ace Frehley is putting out stuff on Record Store Day. Can't you get it together for one Record Store Day? I mean, you have no better reason than now to do it. You're on your end of the road tour. You can do some end of the road tour special Record Store Day release, the last time Kiss will release something on Record Store Day or something. Who knows? Just something they can pipe behind it. I think that it really is disappointing that they didn't do something again for Record Store Day. It's really trying to bug me now because they can do so many cool things. There's so many great things. I mean, we just mentioned now, Julian was saying that they did all these songs in the past, that never made it out on records that are probably in some vault somewhere in the dusty closet they could pull out and do a, 7-inch colored vinyl of, Burning Up with Fever from 75 release. Who knows? Just some kind of something that people would get excited about. And they have it somewhere in there. But what is, we already discussed this, yes, they probably don't have the rights, blah, blah, blah. But come on, I mean, look at all the other bands out there doing stuff. I mean, you can't tell me that their record label can't say, okay, you know what, just for, Record Store Day, let's throw them a bone and let them do something.
Yeah, if they don't have it, then I'm sure Super Collector does. And I'm sure he'd be more than willing to, facilitate their demands. You know what? There must really be a serious issue as to, why this isn't happening. There's another thread that also touches on this, and it was a recent interview with Sweden Rock that Tommy Thayer did, and they mentioned the Creatures of the Night deluxe edition, and his answer was something to the effect of, well, we're always working on things and sometimes things don't work out, or something to that effect. But between Universal burning everyone's catalogs through their disasters, I don't think that is the case, because again, Gene did manage to put out the Vault, which had stuff that really would have been more perfectly set on a Kiss release, unlike how the material that he kind of donated to Love Gun Deluxe was. But Record Store Day, Def Leppard has the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame EP this year, and they've got another box coming out, Hysteria, live in London, and their second residency in Vegas, which was kind of the Pyromania, Rare, other shit one. I don't remember if it even had a title. It certainly wasn't as catchy as Viva Las, whatever that one, Viva Las Vegas. See, don't even remember. So I'm for all else of a rational explanation without knowing what the machinations and relationship are. I mean, even the Sirius XM thing would have made a perfect EP. So there must be a logical reason. You can't, and someone told me off on the thread, my response was, look at the response to Destroyer Resurrected, look at the response to Love Gun, look at the response to Psycho Circus and Sonic Boom, that they haven't sold any sorts of numbers. And they rightfully called me out and said, well, if Kiss and Universal put effort into them, maybe they would have sold. I don't think that's the case, because I think even going back to the reunion, everything's kind of trended down tremendously. So I don't know if it would even be worth the effort. But I would love to see it. They've got one more chance next year for Record Store Day. That they can pipe up and say the first ever Kiss Record Store Day release is going to be the last ever Kiss Record Store Day release while they're still a band. First, last, and only, or only one while they're an active band. So I just wish they would do something. And we have talked about it before because, again, I think it's a crying shame that they haven't done a release for the End of the Road, a proper one, other than reissuing Kiss World. All gets very depressing, but, even Rory Gallagher has a release coming out on Record Store.
Yeah.
Which gets me excited. Ken, bring us the voice of reason into this topic.
Well, I don't know. I'm the one that called you out on that thread. I'm the one that said that, if they had the record...
Wait, hold on. Banning you right now. All right.
Banning me from it. Or I won't be able to get back in, but oh well. My thinking is, they put out, Love Gun Deluxe and Destroy Resurrected, but they could have done a lot more. Those packages were not very good. I wouldn't even call them a package. It's pretty. They went the cheapest way, I think, of putting out something. I think you want to put something out that is going to excite, I think, the fans of the Kiss Army. If they had a Love Gun Deluxe in the box, had the remastered or remixed, and then had both versions of that, had vinyl in it, had posters from the tour that were promos, promoting a show somewhere, LA Forum, that big one that was maybe on the big, what do you call it? They could have put that in a smaller form, poster form. They could put a live show, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever format. Even a live CD of a full show. Maybe, replicas of, backstage passes, things like that. And a booklet. Talk about the album. Talk about the tour. Just cover the whole Love Gun era kind of thing. I think that would have been fantastic. I would have gotten excited more so than this thing. And what I said on there, too, is what the hell is that? The Paul Stanley teaching demo, that's the best they could have come up with, which is it sounds like he's about to fall asleep because it's in a different, slower, tempo or whatever it was recorded. Pitch. It sounded like I'm gonna fall asleep, but here's the chord for this. It's like, come on, they couldn't find anything better than that. I just think they could. Now, that's for Record Store Day. It's either two things. There's either they're saving it for when they retire, saving all this stuff. It's like, don't release anything else. We're saving it, or they're saving it for their big box set, vault type box set, which I think
that no one will be able to afford.
I think it's being worked on.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm sure something's being worked on, but it's just a continuous thing of the ball being dropped. I've heard stuff from the Love Gun, the actual sessions, that's way better than that teaching demo that could easily have been on there and filled that spot, and people would have enjoyed. And you know what? It's nothing spectacular either, but it's damn sight more,
interesting
or listenable. It's not going to blow up your playlist every time it comes along, and you've got Elmer Fudd narrating an E minor. I'm sorry, Paul. That's great for reference stuff. Come on, I've got a microphone right here for taking notes and shit when I'm doing stuff. So I don't forget. But I'm not going to release this on an album. Or ever play it for anyone else other than myself, because they'd probably die laughing.
Even do an interview with them. I mean, I don't think I have documentaries now, but an interview, some kind of short, as part of that live DVD thing, have them talk about the live show at the time. Have a little, 15-minute interview with Paul and Gene, because, the other guys.
There was a live interview on that Love Gun Deluxe, from the radio station. That was awful.
That's right.
Terrible quality.
But
and
something
then, of course, the Abomination live tracks, with the computer
new.
Enhancements.
Yeah, something new they could put on there. So I think, they got the wrong people working at Universal.
Yeah.
Or KISS, at least, for their stuff. I just think they need to find the right person, a fan who knows the stuff and knows what the other KISS fans would be, interested in.
Yeah, but you know what? As funny as that may seem, Ken, I think that has a very big thing to do with it, because I know a few people. Like, I know one guy who I deal with quite a lot named Jeff on the Yes Music Podcast board, and he's become good friends with Neal Morris, who plays with Flying Colors, and he was in Spock's Beard and stuff like that, and he's become really good friends with him. And so good friends that Neal Morris has now made him his official archivist of his stuff. You know what I mean? And if you want somebody like that, who's like gaga and knows every little detail more than you know about your music, in charge of it, because now when he says, what are we going to do for records? He's like, I got 7 ideas, Neal. How about this, and this, and this, and this? And he's like, okay, whoa, hang on. Like the first 2 are good enough. You know what I mean? So you need something like that, like someone like that, at the helm, if not just to do it or to pick up things, but to be the guy to come and knock on the record label's door and say, hey, excuse me, Mr. Morris wants this out. Can you help us out? Like, you be the guy, because, the artist doesn't want to go there and break their balls all day. Get somebody else who's really hyped up and wants to be involved in it to go and do it and to push this stuff on things. I think it would be, whether it'll help or not, who knows, but at least you have somebody who's showing that there's excitement within his, his fan base that want to see this thing out here. I mean, it really bothers me, as you can tell, because I'm looking through here again, and I looked, and E1 is releasing Judas Priest Sad Wings of Destiny on 2 LP 45 RPM. Like, cool. I'm excited about that. I mean, those kind of things excite me. Why can't KISS, do something? Like, could you imagine a 2 LP, 45 RPM remix of Hotter Than Hell for a record store day? That'd be like, wow, I'd be like on that in a minute. I'd be lining out outside at 6 a.m. for it.
Imagine a gatefold full of Norman Seif's outtakes, which circulate all over the place anyway, that aren't making anyone any money, that that licensing the actual photos for inclusion could.
Yeah,
there you go. See?
Yeah, Mark, Queen's done the same thing. They have someone too that they have in doing their catalog, and they've been remastering, and they've spun out like the News of the World box, which is fantastic.
And I've telegraphed things to both Universal and other parties while doing some of these book projects that obviously we did over the years. Starting with the 78 solo book, I was communicating so that they knew this was coming well in advance, when it was still just a web feature. When started planning on putting it into print, making the suggestion, now would be a really good time to think about doing a limited edition issue of Best of the Solo albums on CD.
Exactly.
And buy it through KISS's merch store, and that's the only place you can get it. Just a limited thing like that would have been a great idea. And then, of course, Odyssey came along, and I was telegraphing that one along. Now it'd be a really great time for Music from the Elder Deluxe Edition. And yes, I was chuckling while writing that because good time and Music from the Elder just don't really go in the same paragraph, zip code, or country, or hemisphere, for that matter. But, and then, of course, with the Crazy Nights one, same thing all over again. It's like... would have been, and we talked about it on shows, would have been a great, I mean, it even laid out the track listing for them. All they had to do was go down to the filing cabinet and find that stuff had been missing for years or gone up in poof of smoke. So,
yeah.
Or that they didn't want to pay so-and-so any more royalties, or they didn't know who performed on it, or God knows what the issues are. If nothing else, I'd love there to be like a sit-down and them to actually lay out what all the issues are with doing stuff other than licensing for product. What are the complexities that prevent them from being able to put out Kissology 4? But here we are a few months after the documentary's announced, and Tommy's mentioning in that same interview with Sweden Rock that they're halfway done. Yeah. Why is one suddenly able to go so fast and the other one nothing happened from, and they filmed all those shows? I mean, what are the things that really keep anything from happening that, quite a few of us bitch about? And by saying bitching, we're not saying in a negative sense. We're excited talking about this stuff and the possibilities. Are we completely delusional? If so, tell us, why? Why are we nuts? Why are we unrealistic? What are the business issues that say that sitting on this stuff and having it eventually leak when, Mr. Kiss Bootleg's Facebook site can just sell all this crap and Kiss doesn't get the money. So Kiss gets zero out of it. But the bootleggers make money because they've waited so long. It seems to be a complete failure to the business model.
Yeah. Actually, I have one other thing I wanted to talk about with you guys, if you guys are okay with that. I don't know if somebody else wanted to say something, but
sure. Yeah.
I've been thinking about this for a while, actually, and I did notice that it was brought up on the board as well. What do you think is going to happen down the road with this whole coronavirus thing as far as Kiss touring? Because I know now that I've been seeing on the news a lot that places in Europe are shutting down huge events, no stadium events anymore. There's soccer's being canceled in Italy. They're not doing that anymore out there. No big gatherings. Like, it's getting to the point now where they're saying, you know what? This is getting out of hand with the virus here in certain spots. We're not going to allow that to happen. Now, if I'm mistaken, please correct me, but doesn't Kiss have to do yet another leg in Europe sometime in the near future? Wouldn't that hinder? Because I know already Sons of Apollo today announced that they had to cancel the rest of their European tour because of the corona thing. Is it because people are not paying for or not getting tickets, but also the promoters are getting worried about what could happen, the repercussions of the virus spreading or whatever, right? So what are you guys' thoughts on this?
And, well, just to chime in before I let Ken talk, because I spoke too long earlier, Kiss are scheduled to be back out in Europe in June and July. So there's a bit of time yet. Italy, where a lot of the cancellations of football games and schools and everything, I would have to say, and no offense to our Italian friends, but Italy's a special case when it comes to infrastructure, communication and issues. In terms of where kind of countries are in the EU, those that remain in the EU. Germany is obviously very organized, very, kind of at the top, and, the north of Italy may be more of the industrial area, but I think in terms of shutting down a country, you'd expect to see things like Spain and Portugal, Italy, Greece shut down long before England, France, Germany. No offense to any of them, but I just think it's the realistic situation out there. What does it mean? It means America will shut everything down day after everyone's dead from coronavirus because they will have spent so long arguing and denying it, that it'll be too late. Canada will have shut off the borders to us long before then. Ken, you'll be more realistic than me.
I don't know. I think it just depends on, how this thing
Pans
goes.
out.
Yeah, it pans out in the next couple of months. I hope it kind of hits its peak now. Maybe I hope it's hitting its peak now and trails off. I mean, it doesn't look like it, yeah, but I hope so. If it gets a lot worse in Europe, yeah, maybe then Kiss will have to, either based on not their own decision, probably wherever that venue that you're playing is,
Or the promoter.
the promoter and
The
the
government.
country, the government will say no, no more concerts right now until we get this, a good handle on this stuff. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be up to Kiss. I think Kiss, they won't stop. They'll keep going, I guess the only people they're not directly in contact with all those fans. They're just the meet and greet people, maybe, and that sort of thing. And
Gene Simmons has fist bumped for years, so
their own stage crew, the crew and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Outside of that, the people that are in the audience, for the most part, they're not going to be in contact with, except like the meet and greet. And if you're going to do the meet and greet, I'm sure we're going to be getting maybe a fist pump at the most, right? If that, I don't know. We'll see.
You don't even get that during a photo. You
photo.
You're in. You turn. You take the photo, and out you go. And obviously, when I didn't.
I'll tell you what. I'll attempt a fist pump with Gene tomorrow.
I won't. I won't even do that. Just.
I'll attempt, and then.
Well, don't forget how sick Paul was after the cruise as well.
Yeah, he was very sick.
He really got flattened by all accounts, and that led to the cancellation of Australia. Whole leg of the tour. I was somewhat jokey about it. On the one hand, I just want to get our show tomorrow, and then I don't care. But I do care, because obviously it sucks to have shows canceled. And, when that's happened to, 2 shows for me on this tour so far. Governments, I think, will tell us when touring stops. I think common sense also starts to play into it. Right now, there isn't a rapid explosion of it in the United States, but that could quickly change. You also notice how no one's talking about Iran. There's been nothing on the news about what's going on there, and that was the number 2 hotspot. Nothing's being said now about China. Reports coming out of there are really, really quiet, which is worrying. And even South Korea, I've not been hearing national reports here. And I've, checked the BBC and, American News Daily. So,
There's here some.
You have news in Canada?
over here, they've.
In Canada?
Well, yeah. Surprisingly, we do have news. Not the greatest, but over here they were saying just now, like, we have our 2 more cases of coronavirus here in Canada, and they said that one came from a guy visiting Iran, and one came from a person visiting Italy. So,
there you go.
But they said that over here in Canada, the risk level is still pretty low because they've been keeping people in isolation, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, it all depends on, I guess, also how it's all taken about. I mean, I know Julian just said that he's worried about China and no news from there coming out about what the heck's going on there. But from what I heard here on our news, they were saying that they think that the worst is over in China. In Wuhan province there. So they think that it's kind of on the down slope for that now. So that's a good news.
Yeah.
Or hopefully it has peaked.
Hopefully.
But, it's easier to lock down and control the population in a country where there are no rights, say China or Iran.
Yeah.
It's more difficult in Italy. It's more difficult in the United States. It's more difficult in Britain or anywhere else. So the only thing I think going for it is, number one, I'm not a scientist, is I believe it weakens as it spreads, so whatever. Going back to the basis of the question is what's going to happen. I think Kiss, number one, will do what's right for Kiss and their fans, because they don't want to bring together an audience of people who are going to get sick. The promoters are going to cut liability where that becomes a case, and they're going to do so under their own auspices. They have insurance, they have responsibilities as well, and governments are going to dictate. Even the U.S., who I joked about, will, put the word out that sporting events are off, and that's going to mean concerts are, again, just everyone, listen to your local government on how to prepare and how not to prepare. And number one, wash your freaking hands and clean off those surfaces,
Yes.
door handles and light things. Follow reputable news, not Bob on YouTube, who last week was frying a cat, and has episodes of his YouTube broadcasts of stuff to do with a leaf blower. No, listen to your real government outlets. And, even I would say I don't listen to CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News about how to deal with a communicable disease, because they're all a bunch of freaking bobbleheads.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to Kiss properly, because talking about things that could be postponed is the rumor of another Las Vegas residency at Planet Hollywood, possibly in January 2021. We've done episodes on the whole thing, but just your response and initial reaction to that, Ken.
Yeah, well, January 2021, I think that would be... I hope that happens. It gives me another chance to see them, and maybe it'll be... I'll do a birthday present to myself. So that's the month. So, I think that would be cool if they do it. They're not touring. Sure. But maybe they're doing that to stay fresh for their final performance. It would be interesting if they can get one of the former members to get on board for the Las Vegas run. If they're going to do it, it's a rumor, of course, as you said. So, but that'd be interesting if they could do that.
Well, come on, they were in Los Angeles last night, and there were no special guests.
Yeah.
Well, Ace moved, So.
I know, and Bruce moved as well. But come on, there's still plenty of people. Mark, what's your thought on residency?
Well, actually, when you just said it now, I kind of got a glimmer of excitement, mainly because last time Kiss did the Las Vegas residency, my brother-in-law, who frequents to Las Vegas for business, he's a IT guy, told me, he goes, "Hey, Mark, listen, if you ever want to go to Vegas for anything, let me know. I got a hotel hookup, everything, no problem. I'll take you, no problem." And because he found out about that residency long after the fact. He goes, "You should have told me. I would have took you, no problem. Got tickets and everything." So if it does happen, then you better believe I'm going to go this time, because he promised that he would take me, and he's always good on his word. He's a great guy. And, I will take full advantage of it this time if they do a residency. And it would be great, because I've never experienced this kind of a, show, like an indoor kind of, totally controlled situation where you can do everything you want down to the last little finite detail. So those shows must be fantastic. So, yeah, I'm all in if it happens.
Yeah, if they do it, I'm totally go to Vegas for another residency. Thoroughly enjoyed the other one. I think it would be a great opportunity for Kiss to do an official Kiss Expo, at a convention center, and to tie in something like that. The Kiss Emporium.
That'd be awesome.
The Emporium of unusual and odd Kiss-related experiences, and then a show in the evening would just be awesome. Vegas is fun, and seeing Kiss with 3,000 fans is a great experience. And they actually managed to put one of those out on video and LP, so maybe that's more likely how a record store release happens. Couple of other quick topics. An Ace Frehley unreleased interview from 1994 was released on YouTube. You can find links for it all over the place. It was actually a very, very good interview of not so lucid sounding Ace. He sounds sober-ish, but just very 90s Ace. There are a couple of key parts that jumped out of there. Number one, that he was admitting that he sold his rights to the makeup, but that they couldn't use it commercially or something to that effect. They couldn't stick someone in that makeup to perform, which I thought that was interesting. But the one thing that jumped out at that whole thing was Ace described himself himself as being the Keith Richards of America, or of American rock and roll. Ken, do you think Ace was getting above his station, or in the 90s would you have said that was true? The space station.
Yeah, I don't know if he can compare himself. He's comparing himself as, someone who's, drinking and done drugs and this and that. So I don't know about Keith Richards, how much he's done and how long he's been maybe clean or not.
He was still falling out of frickin' trees a couple of years ago.
That's true, falling out of trees. That's right.
Grandpa fell out of the tree again.
So I can see the partial comparison because of that. It's the one band member who's really had some addictions and things like that. But I don't know. Otherwise, comparison, I can't compare it. I mean, I found it more interesting in talking about solos, and that his solos, about what's important about solos is a memorable solo, something you can rehum, which I totally agree. That's what the best thing about Ace is his solos are melodic and memorable. You remember them, so.
Yeah, he seemed very comfortable with himself and his place, and not like being an arrogant part, but he seemed quite bemused that people referenced him as an influence. And as far as like the Keith Richards bit goes, I don't know. In the 70s, I would have loved to have seen Ace Frehley go head to head with Joe Perry in terms of toxicity, and see who would have been the last man standing in that battle. That would have been my guitar war. Mark, what's your take on any of those things?
Well, I find it interesting because I mean, you can see the relation as far as the bad boy of rock and roll kind of thing tag that they always used to get. I mean, Jagger and Richards were the originators of it, and then you have Tyler and Perry, and you have Ace and Peter Criss, right? Kind of being in that kind of group as well. This might sound blasphemous to say, but I don't really see Ace in the same league with Keith Richards. Not to say that he's not a better guitar player than him. I think lead-wise, I think he is a much better player. Is he a better songwriter than Keith Richards? I mean, look at some of the songs Keith Richards has written over the years. I mean, come on. Yeah. I mean, just Honky Tonk Woman Alone, and they're just, you can just name 1,000 songs. Brown Sugar, Angie, Wild Horses. I mean, these are classic songs. I mean, sure, Cold Gin is, but is Cold Gin at the same level as, let's say, something like Start Me Up? I don't think so, no. Right? But but that's not to take anything away from Ace before people start throwing eggs at me on the board here. That's not to take anything away from Ace. Ace has done great stuff. His solo work is good, very good stuff on there. His lead playing is it's deteriorated a bit, but he still can play pretty damn good for somebody at his age. And considering after what he's done, that's the one difference I think mainly is that Keith Richards can still play his songs, but in retrospect, his stuff is a lot simpler. A lot of open tunings and single finger chords where you can just add on little extra notes with another finger. So his stuff is kind of easier to recreate in his 70s, whereas Ace has a little bit more challenge to do it. It's not as simple as one would think, right? So, I still think that Keith Richards is rock royalty to me. I mean, because he's also British too, I always kind of see it that way as like royalty, rock royalty, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that he will have a place in rock history, Ace Frehley, as Kiss will. They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but I just don't think that they're at that level. It's like you have bands like Stones and Pink Floyd and the Eagles and stuff like that are up here, and then you have that like next tier under it kind of band, which I think Kiss kind of is, unfortunately.
You nailed it, and obviously as an English guy, when you talk about Keith Richards, you talk about David Gilmour, you talk about Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton.
Clapton, yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Should I continue?
Tony Iommi.
Totally different to Ace, but then again, go listen to a Keith Richards solo album.
Yeah.
I know I'd rather listen to an Ace Frehley solo album any day of the week, but then again, Ace never had a part of something like Exile on Main Street either.
Yeah.
You know, either as a supporting person, but he wasn't the Jagger or the Richards Jagger because it was Simmons Stanley. It's Perry Tyler, you know who the guitarist is in Aerosmith. It's Brad, not Joe. But Joe plays the parts that are more noticeable and had the image, the bad boy image with the Tyler. You know, so it was more of a focal point, rightly or wrongly. Ace, again, he wrote those memorable solos. He wrote things that you can hum and sing along to. And he staked a claim on the American landscape of pop culture from his playing. And while he continues to, admit, and did in that 94, 93 interview, about not practicing enough and not being a great technician, he said, Bruce is a fantastic guitar player, more technical than me. But being the big operative word, it's the Aces songs and solos that we talk about, we celebrate, that form the core of the catalog of the band. So, it's cool stuff. Again, check out that interview. It's always fun when an unpublished or unreleased interview does finally surface, because especially it's when it's done by a really good interviewer. And that guy was he was probing, he was digging. He went into a couple of areas that Ace wasn't comfortable with, talking about addiction. And again, check it out for yourself. All right, let's leave that there for this week. That's a bunch of, additional topics on the board. Kiss Corona. Do not fall for those stupid memes that have Kiss branded face masks. Those are crap. They're fake. Oh, yeah. It is not accurate. Don't make Uncle Gene mad by believing it because it's on the internet. All right, that's it. So from Mark, I nearly said Lonnie, but he didn't make it. From Ken and myself, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Is Look, It's Rock and Roll podcast episode, so we'll see you then. Bye for now. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.